This is Autoline Daily, the show dedicated to enthusiasts of the global automotive industry. Two Chinese automakers want to lead the world in internal combustion technology. BYD and Geely each announced the development of new 1.5-liter engines that have hit 46% thermal efficiency, which we think would make them the most efficient in the world. The engines are for PHEV applications, but even without any battery assist, BYD claims its engine will deliver 62 miles to the gallon or 2.9 liters per 100 kilometers. With a full tank and battery, it will deliver 2,100 kilometers of range or more than 1,200 miles on the NEDC test procedure. The PHEV tech goes into two sedans, the Kin L and the CL06, which range in price from only $14,000 to $19,700. Geely's engine will go in its Galaxy series of vehicles and with Lynk & Co., and those models will be priced close to BYD's vehicles. PHEVs are now the fastest growing segment in China, and many see them as the perfect bridge technology to a pure BEV future. And it's amazing to see that two Chinese automakers now have the most efficient IC engines. Up until now, Toyota and Hyundai claim to have the highest thermal efficiency at around 41 or 42%. And one thing to keep in mind, however, is that even at 46% thermal efficiency, that means that 54% of the energy in a gallon of gasoline gets wasted as heat and emissions. And no matter how efficient they get, IC engines are still very inefficient at converting fuel into power. Vietnamese startup VinFast may once again delay its plant in the U.S. The company announced in 2022 plans for a $4 billion plant in North Carolina that would open in July of this year. But VinFast pushed back the start of operations to 2025, and now a source tells Reuters that it's considering delaying the opening once again. VinFast has already broken ground on the plant, which will have an annual production capacity of 150,000 vehicles. But it doesn't really need any extra capacity at the moment. It already has a plant in Vietnam that has the capacity to build 300,000 vehicles a year, and last year VinFast sold fewer than 35,000 vehicles globally, and only 1,000 were in North America. The EU could boost tariffs on Chinese EVs as soon as next week, but Reuters reports that EU and China officials are trying to come up with a deal to avoid a trade war. The EU could boost tariffs by as much as 25%, up from 10% today, and every additional 10% increase will cost Chinese EV makers about $1 billion based on 2023 trade data. Last week, China threatened to increase import tariffs on vehicles with engines 2.5 liters or larger to 25%. Analysts believe the two sides will make a deal because each market is important to automakers. However, we think that the EU is still likely to impose tariffs because of pressure from unions to preserve jobs.
When the peace and quiet of your morning commute is as comforting as your morning macchiato. That's what really matters. Bridgestone Turanza EV tires. Less noise for more quiet comfort.
We think the Cadillac Lyriq may be outselling all other luxury EVs in the U.S. market, and Cadillac wants to build on that momentum with the launch of the Optiq. It's an all-wheel drive two-row SUV that's 5 inches longer than the Cadillac XT5. It features an 85 kilowatt-hour battery pack that provides roughly 300 miles of range, and it has 300 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. Inside, a giant 33-inch screen dominates the dashboard. The Optiq is positioned below the Lyriq and will start around $54,000 compared to $60,000 for the Lyriq. Customers can also get 3 years of free Super Cruise. Cadillac is going after first-time luxury buyers in the 28 to 39-year-old age bracket and will sell the Optiq in 10 regions of the world, including Europe, Japan, Australia, New Zealand, Egypt, Israel, and Mexico. Cadillac sees the electric segment as a chance to rebuild the brand as one of the top luxury names in the industry. The BMW 3 Series is going hybrid only, except for the base 4-cylinder engines and the M3. However, these are not strong hybrids like most automakers are turning to in the EV slowdown. Models with the 2-liter 4-cylinder, an inline 6-cylinder, and all diesel engines feature a 48-volt mild hybrid starter generator, which adds an extra 8 kilowatts or 11 horsepower. So these engines now produce anywhere from 150 all the way up to 386 horsepower, which can be sent through the rear wheels or all four. BMW also made upgrades to the plug-in hybrid version that's offered in Europe. It now comes with a higher energy density 19.5 kilowatt-hour battery pack, which provides about 80 to 100 kilometers or 50 to 60 miles of range, depending on if it's two or all-wheel drive. Minor chassis tuning and styling updates were made to the 3 Series as well, but the only other somewhat big change is a new curved display screen in BMW's latest infotainment system. As for the M3, the biggest change is that the all-wheel drive competition model gets a 20 horsepower bump thanks to a new engine management system, which takes total output to 523 horsepower. China dominates the global EV battery market, and it wants to keep it that way. According to a report from China Daily, the country is investing nearly $830 million to develop all-solid-state batteries. The project was launched earlier this year, and companies like CATL, BYD, and Geely are working on the tech. Solid-state batteries are more powerful, durable, faster charging, and safer than current EV batteries. However, they're not currently ready for mass production, and commercialization is still years away. ZF appointed Dr. Peter Holdmann to run its North and South American operations. He joined the company in 2000 and rose through the management ranks. He had been running the chassis and quality group departments prior to this promotion. Holdmann replaces Martin Fischer, who elected to retire from ZF as a board member. Fischer told Autoline that he's interested in becoming the CEO of a company, and so we expect to see him running a company at some point in the future. Heavy-duty truck maker Kenworth is showing off what it thinks the future of trucking could look like with the Super Truck 2 concept. We would kind of describe it like a Tesla Semi on steroids. It has a central seating position, a side stair step like a large bus, and the overall shape is similar. But the Super Truck 2 also features a diesel engine and is much more focused on aerodynamics, with fender and side skirts that go almost all the way to the ground. Presumably, its automatic air suspension system would prevent it from curb smacks. But the most distinctive feature to us is the fully enclosed front wheels. Kenworth was able to package the 48-volt mild hybrid diesel powertrain from parent company PACCAR completely within the frame rails of the truck, which allowed it to narrow the front track and tuck the wheels under the bodywork. The company claims a 136% improvement in freight efficiency, a nearly 56% improvement in engine efficiency, and a 48% aero improvement. But to be fair, this is compared to a truck that came out in 2007 and was last produced in 2016. However, it did manage to average 12 miles to the gallon, and that's better than most semis today, which average about 6.5 to 7.5 miles to the gallon. Ford once again teased its high-performance electric truck that it's going to race up Pikes Peak in June. It's based on the F-150 Lightning, but even in this teaser video, you can see the upgrades are quite obvious and extensive. We see a massive rear wing hanging off the bed, super wide front fenders with large louvers on top of them, and a fully independent rear suspension. We think it will come with a similar setup used in last year's electric Super Van 4.2, which made about 1,400 horsepower. But I'm sure we'll learn more before the race. And that brings us to the end of today's show. Thanks for tuning in.
Autoline Daily is brought to you by Bridgestone, solutions for your journey. Intrepid Control Systems, over-the-air engineering boost your game. Teases Automotive Technologies, the formula for better mobility. And by ZF.
There's nothing wrong with heavy metal.
Hey, lighten up.
But with world-class composite material, Teases Automotive Technologies makes vehicles lighter, safer, and more eco-friendly.
Intrepid's NeoVi Pi, allowing automotive engineers to interface, capture, and monitor vehicle data using Raspberry Pi. As a matter of fact, it's the automotive industry's first robust platform for Raspberry Pi, featuring Intrepid CAN-Optiq technology and Raspberry Pi compute module. The NeoVi Pi is designed for automotive environments, allowing use with relative power ranges and applications. In addition, the NeoVi Pi enables you to use the Raspberry Pi for compute while avoiding additional development to adapt to network environments. That makes the NeoVi Pi powerful enough to solve your vehicle network problems, yet small enough to fit in your backpack. One of many Intrepid tools used for developing zonal architecture and software-defined vehicles.